The movie Smile is a gripping psychological thriller that delves into themes of trauma, guilt, and the terrifying power of the supernatural. The story begins with Dr. Rose Cotter, a therapist still grappling with the trauma of witnessing her mother's suicide at age 10. Despite her own struggles, Rose is dedicated to helping others, including her patient Laura Weaver, a graduate student admitted to Mount Pleasant Hospital after witnessing her professor, Gabriel Munoz, bludgeon himself to death with a hammer. Laura frantically claims to be haunted by a malevolent presence, convinced that she is cursed and that she alone can see the entity. Although Rose diagnoses her as having hallucinations, Laura insists that the entity has the power to appear as other people wearing an eerie smile. Claiming she is about to die, Laura suddenly freaks out, then begins smiling ominously before cutting open her neck with a broken vase shard in front of Rose. Rose, initially skeptical, diagnoses Laura with hallucinations but soon finds herself questioning her own judgment as strange and terrifying events unfold. Laura's sudden, ominous smile and her shocking suicide in front of Rose leave the therapist reeling and searching for answers. Detective who interviews Rose about Laura's death turns out to be her ex-boyfriend Joel. Still shaken by the events surrounding Laura, Rose confides in Joel about Laura's claims of being cursed by an evil presence with a haunting smile. Rose begins seeing Laura smiling at her in various places. The visions inspire Rose to look into Gabriel Munoz's suicide, and she learns Gabriel was also smiling strangely before he died. Desperate for answers, Rose delves deeper into Gabriel's suicide and learns of his obsession with a dark entity that he claimed was trying to consume him. Rose's investigation leads her to another patient, Carl Rankin, whose menacing smile and threatening behavior mirror Laura's. Carl smiles ominously and begins threatening and terrifying Rose, which causes her to call security. Orderlies restrain Carl, but it turns out Rose only imagined his aggressive behavior. Believing that Laura's shocking death may have caused a mental breakdown, Rose's boss Dr. Morgan Desai puts Rose on 1 week's leave. Following another frightening vision of Laura, the security alarm goes off while Rose is home alone. An operator from the security service seemingly calls Rose with a taunting message. The real operator calls Rose shortly thereafter. After her fiancé Trevor returns home, Rose notices her cat is missing. Trevor has to calm Rose when she becomes suddenly spooked again while reviewing audio from her session with Laura. Concerned for own mental health, Rose visits her former therapist Dr. Madeline Northcott. Rose explains she is having hallucinations, which Madeline attributes to Rose's long-standing guilt over her mother's intentional overdose. Despite her efforts to seek help from her fiancé Trevor and her former therapist Dr. Madeline Northcott, Rose's descent into madness continues unabated. As she struggles to uncover the truth behind the curse that seems to be consuming her life, Rose finds herself isolated and increasingly desperate. Rose and Trevor attend a birthday party for Rose's 7-year-old nephew Jackson at Rose's sister Holly's house. Guests are mortified when Jackson opens Rose's gift to find her dead cat packaged inside. Vehemently insisting she isn't responsible, Rose trips and falls through a glass table after another vision of Laura terrifies her. With the help of Joel and a series of disturbing revelations, Rose begins to piece together the chilling truth behind the curse that has plagued Laura, Gabriel, and others. She tries to tell Trevor of a sinister pattern of suicides and murders linked to the malevolent entity, which feeds on trauma and despair. Trevor dismissively accuses Rose of inheriting mental illness from her mother and of killing their cat. Rose visits Gabriel's widow Victoria. Victoria shows Rose macabre sketches Gabriel drew of a dark entity he claimed was trying to get inside him. Rose also learns Gabriel was traumatized by the death of his brother 20 years ago, and he began ranting about the curse after attending a conference where he saw a woman kill herself. Rose asks for the woman's name, but Victoria kicks Rose out of her house after Rose becomes insistent that Gabriel was telling the truth about his curse. Rose convinces Joel to help her continue connecting clues. Joel uses his police computer to access a file for Angela Powell, who was the real estate agent that Gabriel Munoz saw die. Additional video shows that, several days prior to her death, Angela saw a smiling man suddenly hack his own neck with gardening shears at a gas station. Rose returns home to find that Trevor called Madeline for an intervention over Rose's worrying mental state. Feeling betrayed, Rose storms out to take copies of Joel's files to her sister Holly. Rose tries telling Holly about the curse, which only leads to the sisters arguing about Rose behaving similarly to their abusive mother. Joel calls Rose to tell her that further digging revealed 20 similar cases involving witnesses to 19 suicides. The exception was accountant Robert Talley, who watched his business partner commit suicide. Instead of subsequently killing himself, however, Robert murdered a stranger 4 days later. 1 week after that, the eyewitness to Robert's actions committed suicide and the pattern resumed. Joel takes Rose to see Robert Talley in jail. During the drive, Rose tells a disbelieving Joel that she thinks the entity possesses people before they kill themselves, and she worries her time with the curse is almost up. At the jail, Robert reveals to Rose that the only way to break the curse's chain is to kill someone else, but there has to be a witness because the entity needs trauma to continue surviving. Robert started when he realizes Rose currently carries the curse. Madeline visits Rose back at home and she realizes the presence is impersonating Madeline when the real Madeline calls her on the phone. Madeline's smiling doppelganger threatens Rose. Holding a kitchen knife, Rose drives to the hospital. Rose experiences a vision of stabbing her patient Carl to death in front of Dr. Desai, who then tears off his own face. The real Dr. Desai finds Rose in her car with the knife and he tries to get help before she hurriedly drives away. Rose cryptically explains Joel that she is going to confront the entity and wants to be alone so no witnesses can inherit the curse. Rose drives to her abandoned childhood home where her mother died. Inside, Rose confronts a vision of her mother, who accuses Rose of allowing her to die by not calling for help upon finding her overdosing. Rose accuses her mother of being an abusive monster. The vision then morphs into a lanky creature that attacks Rose. Rose sets the creature on fire then escapes outside as the entire house goes up in flames. Rose visits Joel to apologize and for not being emotionally available during their relationship. Rose realizes she is still cursed when Joel smiles eerily. Rose flees outside to discover she never actually left her intact childhood home. The real Joel arrives at the abandoned house. To protect him, Rose locks Joel outside while the creature pulls open her mouth. In a harrowing climax, Rose battles the creature within the abandoned ruins of her childhood home, ultimately sacrificing herself to save Joel and break the curse once and for all. Joel breaks into the house in time to see Rose set herself on fire while smiling ominously. Thank you for joining us on this cinematic adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories from the world of film.